Please go ahead, sir. We are live.
Mr. Dhaj, you can start, sir.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, and a very warm welcome to all our distinguished panel members and to all the viewers and audience. As we talk about sporting opportunities for sustainable economic growth in the context of golf in India, we're extremely happy that today we have all stakeholders from the whole spectrum present here. We have Golf Industry Association and the players associated with it. We have the Golf Tourism Association and the players related to golf tourism. And we have government with us, senior officials from government who would be binding it all together. As you all know, golf is becoming an increasingly popular sport in India, and more so after the inclusion of golf as an Olympic sport. And we have seen that the golf industry has been growing steadily. There have been several signature courses which have gained traction. And with consistent efforts which governments have taken, which the industry associations, etc., have taken, and we have seen the sports getting a huge uptake. When we look at the junior level programs, we see a huge uptake over there. Through today's program, we will touch upon aspects of how the sports is taking off in India and what can be done more to promote it. We would look at the sport from a tourism angle. And in fact, we have seen Ministry of Tourism focusing on golf as an attraction for tourism in regions like Kashmir, in regions like the Delhi NCR, in Bengaluru, etc. We will also talk about the real estate aspect, golf-based real estate and urban development. This has also seen an upswing in the country, and what more can be done? What are the value adds which can come in? We will talk about the equipment manufacturing, golf equipment market. It has also seen a steady growth, and while the pandemic has halted it for the time being, but India can become a hub of this whole value chain of the supply chain and golf equipment manufacturing, and this market can also significantly grow. So all in all, as the country comes back from the lockdown, from the pandemic, and normalcy returns, I think golf has the potential of being a preferred sport. It has a social distancing aspect inbuilt into the game. You can be competing against players, but still maintain social distancing. And with all these stakeholders together, the industry association, the tourism association, and government, it gives a huge impetus, a huge focus to the sports and the growth in India. With this, I would like to invite Mr. Brandon De Souza, our first guest for the day. And while Mr. De Souza needs no introduction, he has been associated with golf for more than 42 years now. He has seen the game from all aspects, right from being an amateur player, then being a professional, then as a coach, as an administrator, as a journalist, as an expert on television, as a consultant, as well as a sponsor. His amateur career included 6 regional and national championships before he turned professional in 1983. He has represented the country many times at international events, 17 times India International, and has 26 professional titles under his belt. I would say his highlights were his 4 World Cup appearances and 2 Alfred Dunhill Cup appearances, where he was also the Indian captain. And today, when we talk of many of the top stars in Indian golf, whether it's Gaurav Ghai or Jyoti Randhawa, all of them had been his wards at some point of time. He has been teaching for more than 35 years. Is also a prolific writer, a guest columnist for the Times of India, India Today Plus, The Statesman, Telegraph, Financial Chronicle, as well as an anchor of the Indian Golf Show on 10 Sports. I would invite Mr. Brandon De Souza, who is also the president of the Golf Industry Association. And Mr. De Souza, I want you to talk about golf as a sport in whole. It also has an intrinsic business model associated with it, which can make it sustainable, self-sustainable, economically viable and sustainable. While golf has seen growth in India, it is not as rapid as some of the other sports and some of the other industries associated. So as an industry chamber, as an industry association, what do you think are the challenges or impediments that is being faced by the industry, and what would you want to be brought in, which can help drive the sports in India, drive the economics of this whole sport in India? So, Mr. De Souza, over to you.
Sure, Devu, thanks very much. That was a very, very elaborate introduction to me, which is most kindly and graciously accepted. But a bigger thank you to ASSOCHAM, celebrating 100 years this year, for putting together a webinar on golf. I know there are lots of other partners, including HUTCO, but end of the day, we've got distinguished panelists part of this whole webinar. And I just wanted to quickly share with you that, while I'm not in total agreement with what you just shared, on a few of the aspects, I did want to mention that India has a great history of golf. The oldest course outside the British Isles, 1829, is the Royal Calcutta. We have many others, including Uttakamand, Madras, Tullygunge Club, places like this which have courses which go back more than 100 years as well. So golf has not been new here. There have been myths that surround this sport where people tell you need to be too old to chase anything else, otherwise don't start golf. But slowly all of this is getting diffused. But more than anything else, we do have as an industry something to be very proud of. 30,000 people have jobs in golf. 10,500 crores is what is the tentative estimate they say from golf and golf-related activity. And today, though we have 250 courses, and anybody listening to this might say that Palm Springs in America or California has a similar number, everything has its own time and it takes time for it to evolve. If a few years ago, somebody had said that tier 2 cities would see such a golf evolution, nobody would have believed it. Today, Raipur has a brand new golf course. Mizoram has built a championship golf course. We have a residential academy in the Kolar Goldfields, Zion Hills, which Tarun Sardesai, one of the young players, has started. We have lots and lots of designer courses. So slowly but surely, the whole package has been coming together. Now, what is the golf industry all about? We are a 9-year-old organization who've been slowly finding their feet, trying to make a difference to the different stakeholders. Who are our stakeholders? It starts at the architect design level. It goes into the construction, irrigation. It goes into machinery and equipment. It leads into, of course, all the employment. And then, of course, it's the conduct, not just of the running of a club, but even doing big events. So when we talk about the GIA, the Golf Industry Association, we are trying to encompass all of this and grow on it, every day. We've had a lot of good progress in the last few years, and the previous presidents and the boards have done their bit, and we have continued to try and carry that baton forward. But what I think people forget is, and this is why I'm so delighted to be part of somewhere where we have a lot of our government ministries involved, that there's a myth that every time you talk golf, it needs to be 18 holes, it needs to be 100 acres and plus, it needs to have a lot of huge investment for the person who's playing. What I was hoping to dispel very quickly is that there are different options. You can build a 9-hole golf course. You can set up a driving range where people can learn the game, including a little short game facility. And Gurgaon has taken the lead in that. There is a Skyline range, there is a Harmony golf range, there is a public course like Kutub, there's another one on the offing at Dwarka. We are having situations where a lot of clubs are using the pay and use facility. So you don't necessarily need to be a member. Equipment, while we don't really have a make in India story right now because we can't generate that many sales, we definitely have access to the best brands. And you can go from as low as 25,000, 30,000 rupees for a full set which is like, like buying two expensive cricket bats or tennis rackets, and you would have a full golf set available to you. So this has been a bit of a myth that, it's a very expensive sport. And of course, access is the key. It's so nice when you have somebody from urban development on this panel, and of course tourism. But just harping on urban development, tier 2 cities are seeing the value of putting golf down. Smart cities should see this as a value. You'll be amazed at how aspirational golf can be, Devrup, and I think a lot of the people on this will appreciate. At the end of the day, the numbers are changing, and there's been a paradigm shift in the age group. All our top players up from the age group of under 25. There are, of course, few who still hold their own, and this game is something you can play till you're 80 years old. But the fact is that today, it's a lot of young people, both boys and girls, who are playing professionally for this country. 3 ladies played in the British Open last week. The same 3 girls were in the Scottish Open. We've got boys on the European Tour. We have Anirban on the US Tour. We have a whole bunch of kids who play on the Asian Tour. So why I'm sharing all this is that golf is larger than life in this country. We are not pretending that we're going to be replacing some of the mass sports like cricket or football, but there is no way that we cannot not be considered now, because it is growing daily. It's impacting what happens to a real estate facility, and I'm sure there'll be people who will talk about it. But anybody who buys a golf course, a home on a golf course, will pay a premium because he's going to have that luxury of looking out on greens. So at the end of the day, what we have seen is, whether it be the urban development side, be it what it impacts real estate, to going into tourism and inbound tourism. I know I have my friend Arun on this, and I'm sure he'll talk about it, but we have much more to offer in India than people realize. From the Golden Triangle and Agra, which has golf courses, to what could happen in Patna, Bodh Gaya, to what could happen in Kerala, to what could be happening in all the hill stations. I just came back from Nainital. They've got 9 holes up there. You don't need necessarily an 18-hole golf course to make it go. So honestly, for me, I see it as being a journey that has just begun. It started taking a bit of acceleration. We've been getting some great support, and I was very happy when Primus Partners, you guys are the knowledge partner, because I think you'll have understood the subject. And the way you spoke, Devrup, it's very heartening, because it truly is a change, and it has to be economically sustainable. Nobody wants this to pretend it's a philanthropic exercise. But when you have a golf course, you have the lungs of a city. When you have a golf course which is practicing good economic and environment practices, it's going to take care of the environment. So whether it be water harvesting, because we don't use good water, we use recycled water, to not putting chemicals down, doing a lot of building with sand-based stuff now. Lots of changes have happened, and we could talk about it for hours. But I know that there's a lot of people who are going to speak on all of these subjects. So for me, apart from the fact that the game is aspirational, there is growth. We are over 250 golf courses. There is 200,000, and I don't see why that number shouldn't double in the next 5 years. There is facilities now being made more and more available. My only urge would be that smart cities, tier 2 cities, a lot of places, stop thinking golf is 18 holes and 100 acres plus. Start thinking of putting in a 9-hole facility or a driving range, and that's a great way to start. And to all our kids, what I always tell people is nothing sells like success. So when you have an Aditi Ashok playing on the PGA Tour, the LPGA Tour, and winning events or in Europe, or like what Diksha Dagar did when she won in Europe, or some of our boys winning in Asia like Chika Rangappa, Kalin Joshi, Chirag, these have all taken over the mantle from the greats of Indian golf like Arjun Atwal, Jeev Milkha Singh, Jyoti Randhawa. It's a very, very nice feeling. And when those 3 girls, including Teresa Malik, were part of the British Open, it's a huge shot in the arm for Indian golf. So I'm not just saying limiting it to the boys. I'm saying boys and girls have done us proud, and it's just time to go to the next level. And like I said, as the Golf Industry Association, we're focused on trying to bring all of this under one umbrella. So if anybody wants to start getting into building a golf course, maintaining a golf course, doing events, looking for equipment, looking for machinery, we are your one-stop shop. So we're really excited. Again, a big thank you to ASSOCHAM for making this webinar happen, to Hutco, to you guys at Primus, and of course our media partners, Golf Digest, and all the associations that are involved. It's a great way to start, and we truly, as GIA, are delighted to have been invited and to be a part of it. Thanks, Devrup.
Thanks, Brendan. That was very insightful, and yes, you rightly talked about the strong and heritage that golf has in the country, and coming from Calcutta, you spoke about the Taliganj Club, etc. So that's something we have seen as kids, and it was always aspirational to be there on the course. And you touched upon quite a few
Favorite Royal
important points.
Calcutta.
Sorry,
I just mentioned Royal Calcutta. It's one
yes,
of only 65 Royal clubs in the world. It is the
that's true.
mecca of golf, and we in Calcutta have not come close to exploiting that. You mentioned Dolly, so I thought I must re-emphasize Royal. Sorry, go ahead.
That used to be close to where I used to stay. So, so, and you
Fair
touched
enough. Go
upon
ahead.
quite a few important aspects which will probably come back later on. You spoke about environment. Yes, absolutely. You spoke about how young players today are really shining on the tours, whether it's the Asian tour or the European tour. And these are very important aspects because today India is a young country, and people look at these youngsters for inspiration, and nothing uh, inspires people more than seeing young kids like them succeed. So, very important point and very insightful opening remarks, Brendan. Thanks for that. With this, I will move to the next part of the discussion. We spoke about the economics of the sport and the sport in itself. I would want to get into the next part, which is the tourism part of it. And I would invite Mr. Rajan Sehgal, who is the president of the India Golf Tourism Association, to speak about this aspect. Mr. Sehgal, he did his graduation and post-graduation in tourism from University of Delhi. He worked with Lufthansa, German and Airlines GSA for 10 years. He worked as the travel head with ITC Travel Division, International Travel House for 9 years. And as part of that, he built India's first signature international golf course, the ITC Classic. And thereafter, he started his own travel company by the name of Arrivals Air Services, which is there for the last 19 years. He's the co-founder of Passionals online platform, a guest speaker on various aspects of travel and tourism. So my question here to Mr. Sehgal, the point that I want to make is that we have seen countries like Malaysia, we have seen countries like Thailand, which in the recent times have become very attractive destinations for golf in India, for golf tourism. While India has favorable climatic condition, it has landscapes, it has great hospitality industry associated with it, and it has the right potential to tap into golf tourism. While a lot of it has happened, but still more needs to be done. So, A, do you see this as an opportunity? And B, what do you think needs to be done to drive this opportunity into something really successful over the next few years? So, over to you, Mr.
Uh,
Sehgal.
yeah, thank you very much, Dipanshu. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes,
Can
we
you
can
hear
hear you.
me?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir.
Good af-
Yes,
good afternoon, everyone. And thanks to ASSOCHAM for creating this platform about potential of golf tourism in India. And I know Mr. Ajay Sharma is a very keen golfer, and he always arrange lots of tournaments on behalf of ASSOCHAM. And you talked about Malaysia, Thailand. Thailand has working on their golf tourism from last, I think, donkey years, more than 20 years. And can you imagine they get not only tourists but more than 2 lakh golfers every year to their country to play golf from all over the world. And a golfer spends 40 to 45% extra than a normal tourist, which is a great boost for the economy of that city or a country. And when they come with their golf bag of 15 kilograms, they want to play at least 4 to 5 rounds of golf at different golf courses. So it means a golfer will spend at least 5 to 6 nights in that particular city which is a great business for the hotels, for the restaurants, for the golf course, employment, caddies, spa, so shopping. So he's a great benefit to all this industry. So that's why to start golf tourism in India, we were in the travel business. My colleague, Mr. Arun Ayyar, who is, I think, one of the leading golf tour operators of India, is also part of this panel. And few years back, we are grateful to Ministry of Tourism. They've created a golf tourism policy, and to take this initiative further, we formed India Golf Tourism Association (ICTA), and its members are Indian golf tour operators, golf courses, golf-friendly hotels, golf media, and we did some international golf tourism conclaves where we invited a lot of foreign golf tour operators, had a one-to-one discussion with Indian golf tour operators, took them to various golf courses in India, shown them the potential. And every year we do so many golf tourism conclaves, right from Jammu Kashmir to down south. And we have more than 230 golf courses in India, but I know international standard of golf courses are around 35 to 40. But the beauty of India is that players, it's a throughout the year golfing season. In India, you can play golf throughout the year, right from January till December. You have to take a flight or a car, just 2 hours flight, and you will be at a different city, different temperature. In Scandinavia, there are 6 lakhs golfers, but in their countries, of all Scandinavian countries, they hardly can play 3 months of golf because of the bad weather. So they take charter flights, come on Thursday or Friday to Thailand or to Vietnam now, and play 3-4 rounds of golf and go back to their country. So if we can attract these golfers to India, I think it will be a great boom. And when during this lockdown, Ministry of Tourism has started an episode called Dekho Apna Desh, and we are very grateful to Miss Rupinder Barar ma'am, who will be joining us shortly. She has given us the opportunity to make an episode for 1 hour on golfing tour of India. So me with my co-panelist Arun Ayyar and Mr. Amish Desai from Bangalore, we made 1 hour golfing tour episode, and I think I will send the link to Mr. Ajay Sharma. If you can put it on the website of ASSOCHAM, people can see the potential of golf tourism in India, right from Jammu Kashmir till deep south. We have wonderful golf courses. And the best part is we have beautiful hotels. After this COVID, this is the best place where people can take care of the social distancing, also greenery, close to nature, lots of water bodies, and they get a lot of fresh air. And Indian golf courses with their beautiful hotels are amazing. And now the entire world, including the Indians, are looking for yoga, naturopathy, Ayurvedic, which we can give as an addition besides golf. So this is a big advantage to promote India as a golf tourism destination. At the moment, our golf tour operators are not expecting any foreign visitors from outside, but we are now, convincing our golfers, like golfers who are playing in Delhi only, to convince them to go to Mumbai, Pune, and Ambe Valley, take this triangle, so where they can play on 3-4 different golf courses. Like they can go to Jammu Kashmir once the city is open. We had a very serious discussion with the advisor to the governor of Jammu and Kashmir. I think once Jammu and Kashmir is open, there is a beautiful 18-hole course in Jammu. They can visit Ma Vaishno Devi, take the blessings for a good game of golf, go to Srinagar, play at Royal Spring, go to Pahalgam, to Gulmarg, beautiful golf courses they have. Then in Delhi NCR, as Brandon, my colleague, said, we have beautiful golf courses right from DLF to Delhi Golf Course, ITC Classic, JP Greens, Golden Greens. Then the Kutub golf course is coming in a very big way. So that is a big boom. Then we have a Golden Triangle in Maharashtra, also the Ambe Valley, Pune. There are so many golfing circuits in South India also. So I just want to show you a video. We have already started and attracting a lot of foreign golfers to India. Just before the lockdown, there were British golfers who were in India. They played 5 different golf courses in India, and they spent 12 days golfing tour in India. Just hear their feedback about golf tourism in India. and you will vouch, what I am saying is correct. So can I request the technical team to play that video, please, for 2-3 minutes?
You are watching Travel World Online.
In continuous efforts to promote India as golf tourism destination, Passional's co-founder Rajan Sehgal and Gaurav Dogra organized a 11-day golfing tour of India for British golfers.
Can you
2TV
play
team
that
asked
video,
them
please?
about their experience in India. They said,
My name is Ruth Holmes. I've come with a group of 12 people, 12 golfers from London, from North London, Muswell Hill. We came to Delhi and played 2 courses in Delhi, and then we flew to Jaipur and played 1 course in Jaipur. Then we went by coach to Agra, and then we went by coach back to Delhi, and we played a course near to Delhi, and then today we played at Delhi golf course. We played 5 very different golf courses. It was a very good experience, a mixture of sightseeing and golfing, which I've enjoyed very much. I was very, very, very well taken care of.
In India for the last 10 days, and it's been absolutely wonderful. Sunshine every day. Golf has been excellent. We've played 5 different courses. Each one was better than.
My name's Patrick. Just like to say what an incredible golf experience India is. The Delhi Golf Club is a must-play golf course.
Hello. We've played 5 different courses in India, and I'd like to say that they're all excellent, but they're all very, very different. So you need to approach them in completely different ways, because the chipping and running is very different at each course, but it's a great challenge, and we've seen some stunning scenery.
This has been a fantastic tour. We are really privileged to come to a country such rich in heritage, culture, friendliness, to observe some of the wonders of the world, and then to play first-class golf. Personally, my best course was the Delhi Golf Club course, the Lodi course. Very, very challenging, very similar to ones in London, and my best score.
My name is Bill Carey. I'm the chairman of the board for Muswell Hill Golf Club in North London in England. Well, in terms of, I have to say, the course today, Delhi was my favourite of the ones we played. DLF was an exceptionally good course, excellent course, as was JP Greens. So 3 really, really good courses, quite different in the way they play.
In 5 different golf courses. The hospitality have been wonderful, the caddies have been wonderful, and the courses have been spectacular.
I've played some magnificent golf courses. I can really, really wholeheartedly recommend this to everybody.
The golf course has been fantastic. Our caddies have been out of this world. And to anybody watching this, I would highly recommend a visit to this country, because you won't be disappointed. It is a place of luxurious golf courses that will absolutely astound you. So,
our main motive is to bring India on the international golf tourism map. So we have already done so many road shows with our ICTA golf members, and now we start getting foreign golfers to come and play in India, and they really enjoyed the potential of golf tourism in India. They were not at all aware that they will get this kind of golf courses, such hospitality, a welcome and a great staff at the golf courses, and they will promote India as a golf tourism destination.
You are watching Travel World Online.
Very nice.
Mr. Dhar, Madam Barar has also joined us, so we can also welcome Mr. Brandon. Madam Barar is also there with us. Thank you.
Ma'am, we're delighted to have you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Sir.
Yeah, extremely pleased to have you with us, ma'am.
Thank you, Devu.
Namaskar, madam.
So please go ahead, Mr. Devru. Please go ahead. Continue. Thank you.
Sure. So thanks, Mr. Sehgal, for talking about the aspect of tourism and how it's important that as a country we tap into this potential, and very pleased to see that a lot of it is already happening. So I would now request Mr. Anit Mehrotra, who is the Vice President of Golf Industry Association and CEO of SGDC India Private Limited, to come in at this stage.
Right.
And so Mr. Mehrotra is an experienced professional with a history of working in the golf and the sports industry. He is a master's in business administration and then has done his executive post-graduation in marketing management from the Indian Institute of Management at Kozhikode. He's a passionate golfer and has been involved with this sport for more than 2 decades. Has experience in all aspects, including golf infrastructure, in operations, in development, in sports management. He brings in a whole 360-degree experience in the golf industry and has worked in multiple aspects of the industry. Before starting his journey at SGDC, he had worked with ITC Classic Golf Resort as a project financial controller, then as a financial controller for golf operations, and then for 2 years he was with Jacobson and ESGO as the executive director and distributor for the Indian subcontinent. So Mr. Mehrotra, while golf is an organized business in many developed economies, India still has a significantly long way to go. Golf course development today may quote premium by up to 20-30% for a real estate project. And we have seen with the young middle class with aspirational aspects with a significant disposable income. So there's a huge consumption potential, huge potential for golf and the sport in general. So how do you see golf being packaged as an investable opportunity? How do you see golf being taken up as a huge potential, economic potential of this whole segment?
Thank you, Devru, for having me on the show, and thanks for ASSOCHAM for inviting us. Let me just take you back a little bit to give you the more history about the research data which we've been working from last 4 or 5 years in GIA, and to tell you about the size of the sports sector worldwide, which is close to 480 to 600 billion dollars, and which is perpetually going upwards. And studies, what we have seen and what we are going through as a part of GIA, that studies have shown that this is a thriving sports sector, usually have a significant positive socio-economic impact on any economy. Sports play an instrumental role, which we know, in improving the physical health, mental agility of nations' human resources, and in promoting unity and nation pride. Further, sports as an industry, what we have seen in various countries, contributes from 1 to 3% to the GDP. In some countries, 3% to the GDP. As far as golf is concerned, the size of the golf industry worldwide, what we have seen, is more than $100 billion. In India, as far as GIA research, which we keep doing through GIA, we have found out that our industry is close to 750 million, and which is expected to grow between 15 to 20%, barring COVID times. That's what we've been tracking from almost 5-6 years. Now, as you rightly said, golf is recognized as a part of Olympics. It is gaining popularity in India, and we know that as a part of the industry association. Golf is not only seen as a sport in India, but it has an intrinsic business model which can help and support sustain on its own, and hence it has economic value which can be unlocked. With the surging interest in real estate, barring COVID times, and the tourism around, as our friend Mr. Sehgal has explained to everybody, golf can be leveraged as a multiplier to unleash a true value via surging growth frontiers of core and allied industries. Now, core industries in golf are basically a golf course development, golf course management companies, golf course operations, infrastructure suppliers like irrigation, golf carts suppliers, machinery suppliers. This is what we call it a core industries. And as far as enable industries that get value to add from golf, which includes golf tourism and real estate. You know, and this is where we feel now with the enhanced media coverage of international and domestic sports through TV and internet itself, the time is the right to form an organized sports sector in India, and with the requisite policy support from Government of India. Coming to the real estate, what you said, that real estate gained 20 to 30% premium. Not all, but definitely we have also done a research, and I will just explain to you how this whole thing works. The inclination towards sports has increased, as I said, which is growing because of the corporatization and the development of private golf courses in our cities like Gurgaon, Greater Noida, Bangalore, Pune, Ahmedabad. And what is happening right now, and these are all permitted SEZ zone. So what they are doing is they are using actually, you know, overall master development plan. The golf is also forming a part of the green development zone. They are converting green areas into the golf area. So what is happening right now is there is because of this general shift in the lifestyle of Indians, they are more inclined towards buying a houses in golf-centric real estate development. And what we have seen in India, that almost 60% of the golf course, newly built golf course, are part of the real estate segment, which earlier it used to be a standalone golf course. Now, if you look at majority of golf courses in India, which we have almost 230 to 250, because the real things come from the IGU registration. A majority of golf courses in India are standalone. They were earlier standalone businesses, either with the clubhouse or along with the hotel and the resorts. Now, as I said, that because of the rising popularity, many real estate developers have started housing projects with the golf course, and this has allowed developers to charge premium with the golf course on their project. The good part about the golf course, you talk about that it becomes a profitable. Why? Because in any real estate cluster of land, you look at you have to leave a green zone. What they are doing is they convert this green zone into a golf course. Now, what is the difference between just a golf course and a green zone? Green zone is a landscape area which used to be there earlier in any real estate project, and that used to be only cost center. Now, when you convert the green area into the golf area, yes, you have to maintain it, but that area becomes a self-sustainable business profit center. And in addition to that, you earn premium on real estate. So that is how the real estate guys are benefiting, and we are seeing the surge in such kind of a project in Delhi, NCR, as I said, Mumbai, Bangalore, and many places. What we have done is research in 2016-17 through Golf Industry Association. We have witnessed that real estate projects have generated almost 3,800 crores out of the golf-centric project. And also the research says that out of that, 957 crores have been generated from golf premium, which is added to the sector. So this is the power of this game. Now, sports township projects, especially the golf-based township projects, are becoming very popular in India. Various global studies, I'm talking about the global studies, have shown that property which are sold at the premium gets 20% premium, 45% of them get 10 to 20% premium, 30% of the property are sold at premium of 20 to 30%, and balance 25% based on what kind of a golf course. Like you look at DLF or JP, they are very high-end golf courses, designer golf. Their premium are much higher. And this has led to an average 25% premium factor, which is added to the real estate properties. And this is all based on the research. Now, we should not forget one more thing, that golf course development is an equally important opportunity for government. and stakeholder, and it allows appreciate the land value around the golf course development. So if you look at any locality where golf course is located, it is an indicator of economic development. Golf course can also be used as an attractive proposition for corporates to set up their offices around the golf course. Upcoming tier 2 cities, which are smart cities, which we have also studied, consider to push their land value upward if they have golf course. And we have done a project in first smart city, which is Raipur, where the golf course is shown as attraction for Koreans and Japanese companies to invest in near Raipur. So this is already a model exists in India. Now, another thing which we should not forget about the environment impact of golf course. So if you're looking at investable opportunity, as you said, you asked me that question, we should not forget that golf course development, what benefit it gives to the environment also. The conservation and the management of our natural resources is very vital. It has very vital importance. And golf course plays a very significant role in benefiting the, what you can say, flora and fauna of the total area. And then it helps you to maintain what you can say the preserved open spaces. It helps you to protect and act like a wildlife sanctuaries. We have seen that in many places. Utilize, treat, and enhance water resources. The good part about India is that no golf courses is using groundwater table. Everybody uses recharge water, and everybody is making recharge chambers and using only STP water. So no usage of the groundwater in any golf courses, which is very good thing in India. And most important thing is golf course generate oxygen. One simple, a basic average golf course generate oxygen annually for 85,000 people. So we should also look at the investment from the environment point of view. So that is what I want to say.
Thanks for bringing in all these aspects, not only from an industry perspective, but also in terms of the importance to the environment. I think that's a very important aspect. So I will move on to now Mr. Iyer, and will probably talk a bit more about the potential of this industry, golf tourism, and what needs to be done more. So Mr. Arun Iyer, who is the managing director of My Golf Tours, he has over 4 decades of experience in lifestyle experience in the business of golf tourism, in corporate or holiday travel, or destination wedding management. He has more than 11 years of experience in golf tourism and golf events and tournaments. He was the winner of the best golf tour operator in India in 2017. Is the official representative for Indian Golf Union to conduct junior feeder 2 tournaments in Western India since the last 3 years. Also promoting India as a top golfing destination at the World Golf Expo, and a member of IGATO, which is the International Association of Golf Tour Operators. He has also set up India golf stands at IGTM and AGTC over the last 4 years. So, Mr. Iyer, our experts, our panelists have spoken about golf and the linkage to employment, whether the linkage with direct industry or with enabling industry. And golf generates employments, golf operations generates employments both in the direct industry as well as non-core industry, whether it's hotels or restaurants or car rentals or companies or tourism, etc. And a panelist spoke about that the average money that is spent by international travelers and the golf tourists, they spend probably 20-30% or even more than general tourists. So, and we have also seen countries like Thailand, etc., having exploited that to a great extent. And India also wants to become a preferred golf destination. So, as an industry veteran, what do you see as some of the challenges that are there in making India as a preferred golf destination, and what needs to be done, what more needs to be done for us to move in that direction. So over to you, Mr. Iyer.
First of all, yeah, good afternoon, and thank you, Mr. Dar, for a very good introduction, and thank you for making it part of the ASSOCHAM. In the last IGTM, which is the International Golf Travel March, which was held in Marrakesh, the statistic shared was 55 million golfers worldwide travel on vacation. So in terms of ratio and proportion, you can imagine that what kind of opportunities we have in terms of making income, adding income. Because where we have seen there are certain like challenges that you have asked me, which I'm going to be a little bit sometimes maybe, you know, we have to hold the bull by the horn here. Branding. For example, at Thailand, you mentioned, Thailand has used our own professional Vani Kapoor as their brand and conducting tournaments. But golf courses in Bulgaria have taken Shiv Kapoor as their brand and they are doing tournaments and Indians are going and playing there. We have not got any kind of that kind of. So we have seen that all the top cricketers, when they retire, they have become excellent golfers right from our Kapil Devji. Now Sachin plays golf. Ajay Agarkar plays golf. Now our Leander Pace, he is an excellent golfer. We play with him, but he's one of. So these are the people who are globally known and have fan following. They can attract these kind of things. So we got to look into a kind of a brand building and needs to be done. Secondly, the Asian Golf Tourism Convention is one of the biggest in the South Asia Pacific area where the golfers, golf tour operators globally come and meet appointments and familiarize. Last it was in Cambodia, and 2021 it's already scheduled April in Japan. We have been done representation with the IACTO people to do it in Delhi or in India. Not in Delhi, it should be away from Delhi, somewhere in Bangalore, because we have seen enough of Delhi, everybody. So some kind of a place other than, so these 100, 400, 300 golfers, golf tour operators coming worldwide. And where we show them that what kind of golf and gastronomy, golf and cruise, golf and adventure, golf spa, golf wine, all these kind of mix which India, besides, you know, we are already known as a culture. Everybody knows about a culture, but this has to be, you know, shown. So this is something has to be very, very crucially done. Then MOT also should conduct, you know, road shows specific to golf overseas, so that, you know, it doesn't get mixed with the tour operation side, the culture side. So it's a golf tour operators going in, an invitation by the MOT to golf tour, you know, suppliers. That will make a lot of difference. And Thailand and Malaysia, you again spoke, something which we have to learn is they have been doing at TGTM, the Thailand Golf Travel Mart, and the Malaysian Golf Travel. These are every year program and different cities where they host all the golf tour operators worldwide and do the buyer-seller meeting with the golf course owners, the hotels, the golf tour operators in a scheduled way, and then do FAM with the media. So this is a continuous process which needs to be done, and which we can do. And we don't have to do a India tourism show, but we got to have an India golf tourism show, which is purely tourism, not any kind of, you know, other infrastructure guys. And we invite these posted guys, which we can definitely, you know, do that. And specifically, we also need, like Mr. Brandon said, that we need more public pay and pay golf courses. There are a lot of, you know, tourism places like in Hampi or any places closer to the beach. We can exploit a good kind of golf courses, because see, if you go and see some of the golf courses in overseas, in Antalya or in Bulgaria, these are in over the Black Sea coast. You see such beautiful golf course, and people go and spend a lot of money, and not necessarily one has to be cheap. When people are spending more than $2,000 to $3,000 on a vacation, they will be able to, you know, do that. In India, there is also one more challenge: is some of the golf courses are, you know, private member courses. It is not possible for a tourist to go and, you know, book. We are not, agencies are not allowed to book. So there should be some kind of an opening has to be made. where these kind of possibilities are there. One of the most important thing that happens is there are some it's a very thing is decision of participation in the overseas trade expo by the tourism ministry. It gets delayed and it is denied. You will not believe the losses we incur. For example, in IGTM, which was held in Ljubljana, we got the approval few days before the event, which means we lost out on all the appointments. We just went there and we only two of us operators and rest of the stalls of India were empty. So our heart bleeds that our ministry has spent so much money, but it came in the last minute. For Marrakesh, the approval never came. We just went as a buyer. So if we can decide 3 months before, yes, this is the program, these are the event that we're going to have, or at least say we have a scheme called the MDA, which is the Marketing Development Assistance Program. Put some roadmap. Okay, this is the time slot. Your money will be given to you. It will not be over a year, 2 years. Then we will invest more money into it, and we will do. These are all hardcore facts, and that we need to understand. Most importantly, we must have a signature annual golf tournament, India Cup, Incredible India Cup, or something which can all the tour operators with MOT can promote, and make it with a Air India or any of the national carrier coming in. It will be such a wonderful program that everybody will look forward to come and play. Like there are certain events, people every year they say, oh, we are going to this event in Thailand every year, or this event in Bulgaria, or this event in Turkey every year. We got to get these things done. And most importantly, we have to build a 3 to 5 year roadmap. Okay, what are the tasks that need to be achieved in terms of academy for public, so that more juniors can come and play. These juniors are going to be the future. They are going to be generating domestic tourism. The domestic tourism opportunity is not there because there are not many academy where people can go and pay and play. It's all in the private golf courses. They are not reachable. So these are some of the things that I think that I felt that I should bring it. And we have an excellent country, 365 days of golfing country, and all those people who have come have enjoyed. So this is the thought that I thought I'll be able to put it across. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Iyer. So once again, very insightful points. So with this, I'll move to our distinguished panelist, guest speakers from government. So we have heard the industry associations and industry talk about the opportunity, and B, also giving examples of how it's happening in other places and what more can be done. So first, I'll move to Sri H.T. Suresh, who is the Executive Director, Housing and RF for HUDCO. HUDCO is a leading public sector company under the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India. So there are two important aspects that I thought we would take your views on. Everyone has spoken about the premium that golf can bring in. Another important aspect is the environmental aspect. So golf can act as a catalyst for urban development, urban planning, with a certain premium, maybe 20-25% premium, which gets added to real estate properties, which also means this is additional revenue coming into government, either at the time of auctioning of plots or at the time of property registration, etc. Second, it also brings in the green aspects, the green lungs back into the city. It's important from an environmental perspective. So can we look at, and how are we looking at including this when we plan for our cities, when we do our town planning, and when we do our development plans? So how do you see this coming in at that stage?
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Ajay, for calling HUDCO. Just briefly, let me just tell about HUDCO. Housing and Urban Development Corporation is a 50-year-old organization now. We have been to housing and urban development as a city, and as well as master plan developments and funding the institution as a financial institution. We are having technocrats like architects and land use planners and engineers in the projects. Now, coming to the subject straight away, talking of environment, yes, it is the lung space. And like Mr. Mehrotra was talking about real estate, 30% land being given as a compulsory land, had to be land use analysis, has to have that kind of a reserved area, which otherwise would have been kept in a normal greenery. Now, instead of that, this kind of green golf can really play a major role in real estate as far as concerned. We do fund real estate projects, and we were funding earlier, and these real estate projects can become more attractive by this kind of a add-on premium to that, and then the promoters are doing in north part of it, Delhi, and somewhere in south also, things like that. We are getting slowly into involving that kind of projects also. But coming to the city, we are involved in smart cities, and in smart cities, new areas developments and things like that, definitely a lung space like this is an important thing, and it is an economic growth generator. Any new golf course comes up, as Brandon was talking about, any new thing comes up, it generates quite a lot of new things in that, not only economic activity per se, employment, and so many other things. So as an economic development, if a smart city gets viable on its, like the revenue generation is an important thing for any financial institution. It cannot just get revenue generation from the user tax or user supplies and things like that. If it has to come from revenue generation, partly from also from golf course development and the in and around development of economic development like hotels or any other things coming up. Like I can recall of Bangalore. I am from Bangalore. I remember the golf course in and around all the 3-4 major hotels are there. Like that, economic generator can also happen. That is one other thing which we look forward for. And environment wise, if you look even in Lodi Road where my office is situated, I suppose even environment wise, if you put a air pollution monitoring equipment, your suspended particulate matter may be comparatively lesser, because as I said, not only air, even water, recycling is happening. Everything is related to environment, and this is a really win-win situation for any smart city to really have this. And the smart city can generate not only economic activity, hotel industries in and around that, and things like that, so that per se city can change the whole the geographical things like that. Like Raipur here mentioned about it, and the new cities which are coming up, the cities which we are going to fund, smart cities and all these things, will invariably look into this aspect also. So it's an interesting thing. Literally for me, it was a learning from all of you guest speakers who have really thrown open a new ideas about how economic generators can happen and how tourism can also help this. I think we'll definitely keep it in our mind, not only in HUDCO, even from our ministry, whenever we discuss about smart cities and things like that, we will definitely think about this particular linkage of sustainable economic growth with the golf course. Right. That's what I want to say on this.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Suresh. So we move on again into government, and may I request Shri Saurav Kumar Shah, sir, if you could just come in. Shri Saurav Kumar Shah is an IPS officer. He's the Deputy Secretary, CDN, NSS Scout and Guides and OL for the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs of Government of India. He's an IPS officer of the 2009 batch. And prior to coming into the Ministry of Sports, he has been the additional PS to the Honorable Minister of Railways and Coal, and had held various positions as Superintendent of Police in multiple districts in Bihar. So, sir, we have had industry association, industry players, etc., talk about golf and the potential that it has. As India's pool of golfers are growing and they're making an international mark, whether it's in the European circuit or the Asian tours, etc. But we still have a long way to go in terms of unlocking the true potential of the sport. Yes, the country has a great heritage in terms of golf, but still we need to do more. We need to travel a long distance. As golf's prominence and popularity are growing, and the sport is also included as part of Olympics, it becomes essential for the government to look at the sport and how it can be promoted at a micro level, at a macro level, and how the industry can work with the ministry to make the sport more accessible, more reachable to the youth of the country. And what is it that the government can come in and do and work with the industry for this? Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Dev. And it has been a learning session with Mr. De Souza, Mr. Iyer, and Mr. Mehrotra. So thanks to them. I mean, now that as you talked about heritage, I mean, it was only through Mr. De Souza's discourse we got to know the lineage of golf in India and how it has grown across the country. And I think a lot of answers to the questions you're asking are already present with the industry. Mr. De Souza mentioned about different sizes of golf course. I think that is one of the major ways how we can increase the appeal or the accessibility. So the accessibility part can be taken care of. And as Mr. Iyer was mentioning, the weather in India, I think that's a great USP and how you sell it to the world. Because we have a plethora of geoclimatic regions and every kind of elevation possible in the world. So, I mean, it's a subcontinent and you have everything that can attract the golfing community or the travel community. So, increasing and awareness has gone up by many notches. I think where we still lack is that golf is still seen as a slightly more expensive sport. And but I mean, these handicaps were with other games also at some point of time. Cricket started out as an elitist game played in British schools, and then I mean it became the game of masses. So it happens with every sport. There is a journey of transformation, and I think golf is somewhere along the middle of that journey. So it's upon the industry on how you package it to take it further to the masses. But I think the right ideas are already there, and it's just a matter of time. With COVID, I think this social distancing, a lot of people would have realized the importance of golf as a sport, as a lifestyle, also as a leisure activity, because health and fitness are becoming increasingly important. And a sport like golf, which can be done throughout the year for all age groups, I think it will suit a lot of people, and a lot of people can come on board. So, with all the devastation that COVID is causing, I think still this sport can see a sort of new shift or new impetus. The role of general sports in infra is well known by everyone. The very city we are sitting in, Delhi, so we are built over multiple Asiads, and that's where our planning element came in. So definitely, I mean, sports, there are cities like Tokyo or Seoul, which got their very first identity by hosting the Olympics for the first time. And that is what created them as international cities. So I think that potential lies with golf also. Every golf course can create a tourist destination in itself within a tourist destination. And the ecology aspect, as Mr. Iyer was mentioning, I think as we promote these things, I mean, you can come in contact with other ministries, also other stakeholders who advocate environment or biodiversity, ecology. So from that angle also probably can promote the sport further, and it will also have a new breed of a new class of connoisseurs who will want to look at it as an environmental benefit. And we have already talked about how it can be an important element in the country planning, town planning. So community sporting infra as a nation, I think we still lack somewhere. I mean, largely we look at government as the infra provider. It has happened over the first 5-6 decades of independence. But now I think we have reached the stage in our nation that we can think of more and more community or sectoral-led developments where you can have more and more sporting infra, because land in the midst of cities and all, I think it's very pricey and it's already occupied by some of the other government department. Or so you can start, as golf courses have already started coming upon outside cities. For example, what the JP course did to Noida or Greater. So I mean that is how, or for instance, I mean even it's not golf, the racetrack in Greater Noida. So you can create cities around sporting infra definitely, and golf is very pleasing on the eye also. I mean, you feel comfortable with a golf course. I mean, not everyone will have want to have a racetrack next door, but a golf course is certainly that no one will be averse to. And how you package it and how people actually find it, if they find it accessible. The other problem was, as Mr. Iyer was mentioning, that people travel and they may or may not have access to a particular golf course in the vicinity. So I think if more and more industry players come together, and there can be greater interchange, and they can facilitate entries of each other, more and more players. So I think that can be solved. And I think the key to everything is catching them young. I mean, if kids, if young people, if teenagers take on to golf, and there can be greater presence to primary stages of golf life, like some driving ranges or mini golf courses in malls. I mean, places where kids frequent or where teenagers frequent. If you have an early exposure, I think that goes a long way towards introducing. For instance, I mean, growing up in the 90s and all, we hardly saw any kind of golf around us in whatever form. So I think that has increased, but that early exposure matters a lot. So somebody who catches on in the game in his 15 or 20 years of age, I think it becomes, and you have a player for 50 years, 60 years. So I think all the answers are present with the industry, and I'm sure any government department will be more than willing to facilitate and take forward whatever tangible suggestions you bring on table. So thank you very much for having me over, and over to Mr. Dhar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and it's very encouraging to hear your note, and definitely as the golf industry would definitely want your help and support, and we would definitely come back on that. Now, I would request Ma'am Rupinder Brar, Additional Director General, Ministry of Tourism, to come in. Rupinder Brar is a 1990 batch income tax officer of the Indian Revenue Service, and prior to joining the Ministry of Tourism, she was the Commissioner of Income Tax and member of the Dispute Resolution Panel, looking into transfer pricing and international tax issues in Mumbai. Ma'am, we are extremely pleased and happy to have you with us over here. We have heard panelists speak about golf tourism and its potential, and we have also heard examples of how it has helped countries like Thailand and Malaysia. While golf tourism has developed into a successful business model, and it has attracted a large number of tour operators tailoring to specific needs of the golfers and the industry. And we also had in 2014-15 a budget government deciding to create tourist circuits on specific themes. So, ma'am, can golf be also considered as a specific theme in terms of creating tourism circuits? And can we look at golf tourism as an avenue for economic development growth, for tourism development in the country? And ma'am, how do we realign certain policies or certain aspects of the ministry to look at golf tourism and to see how it can really unleash its true economic value and potential? So over to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. We can. Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
I did not hear the last few lines, so I was trying to lip read actually. But I'll wager a guess on what you said. So thanks, Devru, for that introduction, and thanks, Ajay, for coordinating on behalf of ASSOCHAM. It's indeed a pleasure to be with all of you. How one wishes that this discussion was happening in the greens, right, and not from the room. But nevertheless, hopefully that shall happen soon also. And talking of potential, I am glad. As always, you know, it's good to be speaking towards the end, because you get to assimilate a lot of thoughts that have already been echoed, and you also therefore get a lot of ideas on the potential, the opportunities, but also the challenges that we may be facing in the sector that we are talking of. And today we are looking at golf as a vertical for tourism in India, and clearly it is a huge potential area. There is no doubt at all on that. In fact, I had a closer look at the data and the statistics. As Mr. Rajan Sehgal mentioned, we did a 1-hour webinar where they all came out with the potential. Again, in terms of infrastructure, there were about 225 odd golf courses that were spoken about. Arun, you had joined us in that webinar. And we brought out to the people at large on the kind of infrastructure that already exists in India. And yet we also realized through that webinar that while we do have a lot of infrastructure, but there are some constructs, some perceived constructs and some physical problems that still, kind of pose as a challenge as we take the whole golf vertical as a tourism product forward. And one of the things that did come up was the sheer ability to promote it. So while I would say that there is that elitist tag, which is okay, because not everything is supposed to be in the same brand product, and there's really no harm in something being tagged as either elitist or a little more expensive, because it's not a gulli danda game, so that's fine, perfectly all right with it. But then how to pitch it still at the right levels. I guess the last couple of decades have seen a lot of improvement with 25 signature golf courses coming up. There are a lot more corporate events happening. And the ministry also has been supporting a lot of events in the last few years. There's the Heritage Golf Open, the Unity Golf Open, the Pune Golf Open, the Ashdale Open. Also, I was looking at the World Corporate Golf Challenge, which has been sponsored. So we've been sponsoring close to about 6 crore or so in terms of support and sponsoring. Maybe a lot more can be done. We are certainly not going to say no to that. It's a growing area of interest in India. If we look at the kind of potential that it has created in the US in about a decade, if we look at the kind of jump that it has provided to the economy, is huge. I was looking at 2016 figures, and there's a contribution of almost 84 billion in terms of economic activity. And we're not just talking of the golf course per se, but obviously the equipment that goes with it, the entire ecosystem that gets built around a golf course. And here we are talking of the direct contribution. We are not even looking at the aspect that was pointed out by my predecessor from HUDCO, that the land bank around a whole golf course develops a very different kind of a premium to it. And we all understand that for apartment blocks that overlook a golf course, they always, command a higher premium in terms of pricing. So there are so many takeaways from this segment for us. And as a country, definitely we need to promote it, not only, I would say, from the tourism perspective, but as a vertical that has huge potential, with a middle class that's aspirational, that's growing, that wants to do everything that is associated with sort of, going up the ladder, so to say. And so India is clearly very, very poised at this point of time to build golf both as a primary tourist product and also as a secondary tourist product, because there are so many other things that happen around golf. Because it's, as somebody before me said, when you're carrying and lugging your bag, you're not just looking at doing one game and coming home. You probably want to do at least 3 or 4 rounds of games. You also want to make sure that your families are going along with you. It could be the husband or the wife who has the time to go shopping. I always mention that why should we only assume that the men should be playing the golf? The men can go shopping. But there is so much to be built around, and that's what brings us, I think, to the other element of the promotion part of it. If I look at it not only from the ministry official, but as a citizen of the country, I think somewhere we are lacking a lot more visibility to create that sort of an interest. It somehow tends to remain amongst the golfers. And that's something I think we need to get a little more out of, that the build-up of the campaigns that we do for the promotion needs to step out a little more for the general public. And that's where the role of subtle marketing and subtle promotion would come in. Because a lot of people are on fringes, and there is a sense that, oh, can I really go for it? Maybe I'm not good enough for it. I remember going and beginning to learn golf at a point of time, and I was almost embarrassed because I kept hitting, and then how it happens to a beginner, you are not connecting the ball. And then I was half tempted to, can I just lift the ball and throw it, because there were too many people behind me. So I think in India also we need to start developing a little more positive promotion if we want the tag of the super elite kind of a feel to go away from it. And the sense that a lot of people develop is that I can only play golf when I am a pro at that. And unless we don't start dispelling that sort of an apprehension around it, that I don't want to make a fool of myself, etc., etc., you're not really pushing people. And in a country like India, where we are a lot around families and we are far more family oriented in our holidays, it's a good idea for us to therefore package not just the golf part of it, but the things that are around it. It would create a more comprehensive package for a family where you say, okay, I'm going to go play golf, but all of you also have a few things to do. So I think our promotional campaigns, while putting golf as a central product, do need to start creating a more composite package of identifying 2 or 3 other significant points around that make it a more interesting family package kind of a thing. Or if I'm picking my bags and traveling even within India from Delhi to, let's say, Bangalore, then okay, what else could I do in Bangalore would also be an interesting, I think, value add in terms of promotion. In terms of the direct or the most subtle part of the promotion, which I do believe we should all be doing together, the webinar was just a very, very nascent attempt at that. We will be making some more movies, and we'll be looking forward to some of you associating with us to give us ideas on how these movies should be different from the earlier one. We've had a lovely movie earlier, Caddy Boots, but probably we need to now do something different. So we look forward to more ideas coming from all of you who actually play golf and also understand it as a tourism product on how to pitch it forward. So I think that's another thing to do. But then we also need to start developing a lot more indirect narrative. And that's what brings me to some of my predecessors' points, that the whole idea of golf adding not just to our physical, but also to our mental. The whole concept of the Zen that develops when you go to a golf course, and how you are coming out of your homes and your 4 walls, and not just literally breathing in oxygen for your body, but literally opening up the vistas of the mind. I would encourage some of you to write to us if you want to write directly into some newspapers or on digital mediums. Do that. If you want to use our good offices and you want us to push out your articles into different dailies across the country, we'll be more than happy to do that, because these are, some of these things are habit forming. And therefore, it would be a good idea for us to start building the narrative around the benefit for the self, the benefit for the economy. If we want people to really take it up as a profession, then how it really adds up to the economy, and what are the ancillaries that get built around it would also be an interesting input, because currently a lot of things that get bought for golf perhaps do not really get manufactured in India. I'm not so sure about that. But if we could develop a narrative that some of the components, at least if they can start being manufactured in India, and hopefully the costs would go down without compromising the quality, and I'm sure we can do that. It would be a great narrative also to build towards the Atmanirbhar concept that we are, trying to do. If we can start doing all kinds of fighter planes, I really don't see why we can't start building the whole narrative around the equipment that goes around playing golf. So I think creating that sort of a dialogue of sustainability of a game which we can also own up, and a game that does not stand as a silo, which is just played as a game, but that it is part of an entire experience of tourism. Those are the kind of narratives I think which would be great to build. In terms of infrastructure, Mr. Suresh from HUDCO already mentioned that they would be keeping it in their perspective, and I think that's definitely hugely required, because as Mr. Shah also mentioned, in India, I think kind of spaces that we have available for public to actually play, because it's an activity which requires a certain skill level. So if you're not used to doing it, or if you really haven't learned it, then the possibility that you're going to pick up your bag to go to a tourist place to play is virtually nil. You need to learn the game where you live. So you need far more access to these places, and we would also really want to work with the Urban Development Ministry on that in terms of sheer valuation, perhaps, of the potential that exists in India for the domestic tourists themselves, not only just the inbound. So I think we do need to work a lot more in terms of working with the sports ministry. I think, yes, we do need to work with them too, because first it needs to develop as a sport. Only then would it really go as a tourism product, because this is not like a bowling, where you just get together as a bunch of people and go bowling. You need to learn it. So I think we need to work with the sports ministry to create more actual awareness and the ability to play, and then turn it into a product of tourism for the domestic segment. And the ministry, of course, stands with all of you. I think very recently the Honorable Minister inaugurated the Thenzol Golf Course in Mizoram. So the point about the circuit, that yes, the ministry does work on, yes, we do have it as a circuit. We're not doing too many because it's really not our domain to really build, so to say. And we look forward to more interventions coming, therefore, from the urban development on that front. But in terms of creating the value around it, in terms of creating awareness, in terms of creating the promotions for all such products that get done by either the urban development themselves directly or through the PPP models, more than happy to work with all of you in whichever way that is required, and which adds value to both tourism industry of golf and also from the point of view of India as a whole. So thank you very much. Those were some of my thoughts around golf tourism, and happy to connect. And thanks once again, ASSOCHAM, for taking up this initiative on the sustainable economic growth through golf.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Those were really encouraging words. Great to note that government is doing a lot to promote golf-related tourism. And thanks as well for really coming forward and looking at working with the industry and with other ministries in terms of how do we drive this together. And I think, ma'am, your point around whether manufacturing can happen in India and whether we can drive Honorable Prime Minister's vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat, I think that's a very valid point, and a point which is equally important. With this, we would be coming to the end of our webinar. It has been a wonderful discussion and a great experience, great points which have come together from all our panelists, all our distinguished panelists. On behalf of ASSOCHAM and on behalf of Primus Partners, we would like to thank all our distinguished guests and panelists. We would also like to thank nearly... Yeah.
Devu, just if I may take the liberty, I know Madam came on a little late, so I don't think she had a chance of hearing when, I actually had the pleasure of being the opening speaker, and as she correctly pointed out, being last sometimes helps because you assimilate your thoughts and come back to it. There was just two things I wanted to share because, again, this is something which was critical. One is that, when you talk tourism, if you land in any country, let's say you land in Scotland, any airport, you're handed a booklet which seamlessly helps you navigate your way around playing golf courses in that country. We have distinguished people like Rajan and, Arun on this panel, and, we ourselves as people been involved with golf would love to do something like that. What people don't want is to be feeling that it's hard to navigate your way around once you reach a city. Nobody wants to go to a golf course wondering whether you'll even be allowed in. Nobody wants to be made to feel second class. Like, I live in Delhi and I'm very proud to say I'm in Gurgaon, but I tell you, walking into a DLF or walking into a Delhi Golf Club is not as easy as it sounds theoretically. So, these are elements that we need to address. Secondly, when you're flying, this 15-kilo baggage allowance has been a huge detriment because when you carry a golf set, it's between 12 and 15 kilos already. So, logically, all I'm saying is, and, this is maybe the wrong platform to be requesting, but after hearing Mr. Shah, Mr. Suresh, and of course, ma'am, I would honestly want to be reaching out to all of you to see as we as the Golf Industry Association can actually come in and take an appointment with you all as soon as things settle so we can actually have a bit of a brainstorm. Nothing is always about just putting monies out. It's a question of seeing it going to a good end. And my request as the GIA would be that, this has been a fantastic opportunity you all have shared. I've enjoyed hearing Arun and Rajan, old friends of mine, speaking about it, and Anit, of course, who's part of our industry association. But with all of you, if we could take the liberty of actually building on this, it would be fantastic because apart from seeing your own vision, I think there's so much more that once we sort of sit and actually converse, we'll find it'll be easier to grow this game, which, as I said in my opening remarks, there are just far too many myths and misnomers about it, which need to be dispelled very quickly because we are growing as a country, we are producing champions, We will not hog the limelight in the newspapers because cricket will continuously do that. But our players can be very proud of what they're bringing as glory to this country, including the 4 players who will go to the Olympics. So, Devrup, I'm sorry, but I had to sort of share this before you round up this webinar.
Sure. I think, ma'am, you want to comment?
Yes, yes, we would be more than happy to have you, especially on the first part is an immediate yes, that we do brochures and we can definitely do a booklet, which can be a sort of how you meander through the golf courses in India. There's really I see absolutely no problem in us doing that. In fact, I did forget to miss a point that Rajan had pointed out, that there are these people taking long haul flights all the way from Western Europe and the Scandinavian countries and going to Thailand, and we are on the way. So why are we not literally trapping them here? We should be doing that. And considering that we are a 365 days golfing possible nation, yes, I think we should definitely be working on that, and we should be promoting it at our airports. There is also I would say we should encash on countries like Singapore, where land is so very expensive that people actually, I know of some people who've been coming to India, to Bangalore, just to play golf over the weekend because it is so expensive for them to play there. So even for the tiny countries where they don't have the kind of opportunities like we have in India, yes, I think we should definitely do the booklet, and brainstorming, yes. So both, yes to both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
So, ma'am, I think that was really wonderful, and it's great to see that the ministry is taking proactive measures and ready to come in and step in for the industry. So that's great, ma'am. In fact, as ASSOCHAM and Primus partners, after this webinar, we will create a document on the discussion points and suggestions, etc., and we'll share with all the concerned ministries. And we'll also request for feedback, inputs from all our distinguished guest panelists, so that we are able to collate the whole view, the point of view of the industry, and bring it to you, ma'am, and bring it to the various ministries which are relevant here. As we conclude, I wanted to thank all our distinguished panelists, all our distinguished guests who were there on this webinar. I would like to thank Ms. Rupinder Brar, Additional Director General, Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. Thanks, ma'am, for being on this webinar and bringing your point of view. Also talking about the various aspects, the various things that the government is doing, as well as really being proactive in working with the industry to take this forward. Thanks, ma'am. I would also like to thank Mr. Saurav Kumar Shah, the Deputy Secretary in the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs, for also being proactive and being there for the industry, ready to hear and help. I would like to thank Mr. KHT Suresh, Executive Director, Housing and RF for HUTCO, for bringing in the perspective from an urban perspective, from an urban development and town planning perspective, and sharing the work that is being done. I would like to thank Shri Arun Iyer, Managing Director of My Golf Tours, for talking about the various aspects in terms of tourism, in terms of creating golf tours, etc. in India, and what more needs to be done. I would like to thank Shri Anit Mehrotra, Shri Rajan Sehgal, and Shri Brandon De Souza for talking about bringing in the whole industry perspective, both from a Golf Industry Association as well as from a Golf Tourism Association, and highlighting the aspects of golf as an industry, as a sport, and as a tourism opportunity. There were quite a few significant thoughts or points which we came across in terms of the potential of golf in India, the rich heritage that is there, that has been there, the potential for job creation, the impact on environment. We all agree that we are seeing success. We are seeing younger players coming in today and succeeding, and that I think is going to inspire more and more youngsters to take up the sport. We also had this myth around golf being only possible when you have 100 acres of land or you need an 18-hole course. So once again, there were thoughts around that we don't need that much of space. It can be a 9-hole. It can be, golf can move to tier 2 or tier 3 cities. We saw our panelists talk about what Thailand has done, and definitely there's a huge potential for India to come in and take up that space wherein we become a preferred destination for golf tourism. And we also had the industry talk about aspects like when a golfer comes in, he or she brings in additional revenue, additional job opportunities into the country. If the golfer is going to stay for 5-6 days, there are industries, enabling industries like tourism, etc., which gets benefited. There's an important linkage of golf with environment, and many of our panelists spoke about it. And last but not the least, and a very important aspect of it is what ma'am highlighted around tourism and what the government has done and what the government is doing, and being really, really supportive of the industry and ready to take extra steps to help promote. So it has been a very encouraging session, and we as ASSOCHAM and Primus partner, we believe that yes, golf as a sport, as an industry, and as a tourism aspect is on the right track, and all of us together would be able to take this forward. As I had mentioned that we would be creating a document, a paper on the discussion that we had today, taking inputs of all the stakeholders, and we would be sharing it very shortly with all the concerned ministries as on behalf of ASSOCHAM and on behalf of Primus partners. With this, I would once again thank all the panelists, our distinguished guests, and nearly 150 odd attendees who were there today. It was a great discussion, insightful, thought-provoking, and I think this is just the starting point. All of us together will take this forward and embark on this journey to make golf important sport, industry, and a tourism aspect for the country. Thanks everyone.
Thank you
all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone.
All of you.
Sure, thank you.
How do I go?